everyone. The day we've all been waiting for. We've got such an incredible bread class ready for you. And what's exciting about this bread class is if you can just learn one dough, you can make so many things. You can make a flavored dough with different types of herbs and or salts. We're going to make actually garlic sticks, dinner rolls, or small sandwich roll. And we are going to make one pizza, and we're going to make one round bread. First thing that I want to share with you is you're going to look for a bread baking kit special that we'll be announcing during this call. Look for your promo code and all the different things that we have ready for you to make shopping very simple, and also to give you items at a sale price. So very excited about that. But this is a bread. I want to talk about the bread for a minute. This is a bread I have been making for, I don't know, as long as I can remember, since about 1980 to 83, 84. My husband's family grew up making this bread. He's from Montenegro, and you can do so many different variations. Everyone's bread will taste great, and just follow the recipe along. And there are a couple tips that you want to know from the very beginning. When you mix your yeast, make sure your water is not hot. It shouldn't be steaming, and it should not be cold. So it should be lukewarm where it's just starting to get hot. If it's too hot, it will kill the yeast. If it's too cold, the yeast won't bloom at all. It won't even start. So we've got 2 packets of yeast, a little bit of sugar, and a little bit of salt. And we've got 9 cups of flour and 4.5 cups of water. Now, I've seen lately that a lot of people just mix their yeast inside all of the water that they're going to use. And I do not do that, because the small amount of yeast will bloom better in 1 cup to 1.5 cups of water. So I have my 1.5 cups of water here, and I'm going to put my yeast in. And then I'm going to take my mini whisk. I'm also going to put in the sugar and salt. So I have a 1/2 teaspoon of sugar. You can put up to a teaspoon. And I want to show you like how this looks. So this is lukewarm water. And you can see when I put it in this amount of water, the yeast is already blooming and looking so beautiful. If I put it in a larger, if I put all the water in the bowl and then added the flour, I will probably have to leave this for about 10 minutes. But you can leave this for 5 to 10 minutes. And the longer that you leave it, the more it's going to bloom. I can see though what you want to look for. If you don't want to wait, you don't have to wait. But I do want to make sure that all of the yeast is mixed well in the water. And once you see those bubbles, that's called the bloom. So you can see the yeast is blooming. If I move it around, the bubbles kind of move around. If I stir it up, I'll have more bubbles coming up. And you can see like it's very bubbly on top. And I think pretty much the water looks a lot thicker. It's not necessarily a lot thicker, but it looks thicker. So what I'm going to do now, I add my water sparingly, because depending on humidity, depending on a lot of things, I want to control the water and the flour together. I'm also putting in 1/2 teaspoon of oil, and I don't necessarily do this for the bread. I do it more for the bowl. So otherwise the flour just gets all stuck everywhere, and you just need a little bit, just wipe around your bowl, and just to make sure that everything is going well. Okay, then I'm going to put in some of the flour. You don't need to sift the flour at all. This is just all-purpose flour. I like to whisk the flour because I want to make sure that my flour is just not clumpy. I want to make sure my water, you can see as I allowed this to continue, this is looking really good. So now we are going to pour this into the flour. And I'd like to bring my camera a little bit closer so you can see exactly the actions of what I'm doing here. Just 1 second, let me just move this over. Okay, so you can see here, got the flour right here. Want to make sure that you can see that. So I've got a little bit of flour and a little bit of water. What you do is just think about spinning something. So I'm collecting all of the flour from the sides of the bowl. It's not really ready to put together yet, so I'm going to put some more water in here. And then I'm going to add some more of my flour. I do it in about this large recipe. I would do it in about thirds. So you can see you have the water and you're just pulling your dough in and pushing down, pulling in and pushing down. Because I have the oil, I put the oil on the glass bowl, and any bowl that you use, I would do that. And I think it's better to do this in glass than it is to do it in a plastic bowl. You want to use like a glass or a stainless bowl. And you want a bowl large enough that it's going to allow, I'm going to put a little more water in because I can feel that it's still pretty dry. Now we're not going to separate the dough right now, but once the dough rises, we will separate the dough. And the only thing I'm doing, I'm just touching the dough, I'm pulling it. I'm squeezing it together. You're going to use your wet dough to pick up the dry dough along the sides. Fold that in. Then I'm going to put in the rest of the flour. So simple to do this. You may or may not use all the water, so do not dump all the water in the bowl. And you may need more water. I mean, it depends a lot on the weather, the humidity, and just your flour too. You could use one all-purpose flour that needs more. If you use a really fine flour, it may need less. Who knows? So you see this, I can pretty much pick my dough up, and I'm looking for a nice shaggy dough. I have a little bit of water left in here. I have about 1/4 of a cup left. Now let's find out if we actually need the rest of that water. This seems pretty good with the 9 cups of flour. Now this is where you just want to take, a minute and really punch that flour down. And you want it to look like a nice shaggy looking flour. So what I'm going to do now, the flour is looking pretty good. I have a little bit more work to do, but I'm going to put some water directly on this spot right here. We don't want it too dry, and we definitely don't want it too wet. It should stick to your hands, but you should be able to pick it off. Not entirely, but pretty much. You can see I'm getting all over my bracelets. That's okay. And see this place right here, like you can still see a little bit of flour. If I were to leave that, the dough is wet, so it's going to eat up that flour. But I like to do this correctly, leave a little bit of flour on top, and I'm going to sprinkle that. You can see suddenly my dough is coming together. So I'm just pulling the edges of the dough and putting it towards the center. And I'm going to pull off the rest of the dough. See, it's sticky, but I can take it off. If you make it wetter than that, I mean, it'll still make a bread, but it's going to be better if it's not crazy wet, like that you can't get it at all off of your hands. That's not a good thing. Of course, you can't get it all, but you can get most of it, like the big clumps of the flour. And this flour is going to create a really beautiful rise. Okay, I'm just going to grab a speck flour here. So I have just this much flour, and I don't even need that much. I'm just sprinkling it like I would some salt. And there you have it. I'll show you what I like to do next. I take a plastic bag and I put it over the flour, the bowl, because I want to make sure that no air is getting there, but I don't want anything so tight that it restricts the flour from being able to, grow up all along the sides of the bowl. Let me just grab that bag. Okay, so I just have a regular plastic bag. And I flip this over it. Like that. You can even like pull it. Sometimes I just pull the bag. Don't make it too tight because you want to leave this room. You don't know how large it's going to become. It's going to rise. Don't worry if it rises a little bit over the bowl. That can happen if you leave it too long, but I'm going to leave it for at least 2 hours. But you could also leave this overnight if you wanted to. You could leave it for 4 hours. You can leave it for more. 2 to 3 hours is a really nice rise on this with that active packet, 2 packets of the active dry yeast. And I do use the rapid rise if I'm going to make the bread on the same day. And I usually use the regular that is not rapid rise if I'm going to make it in the evening. So I just take a towel right here and I put it over it and I set it in a nice warm place in my kitchen. So you're going to see me back once our dough has risen, and we're going to have such a great time making so many different things. And you'll be amazed at how much you can actually make with 9 cups of flour. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We have our dough for the pizza, the bread, the rolls, and the garlic sticks all ready to go. So are you ready to take a look at this beauty that we mixed up? So this is the entire bowl of dough, and it has been rising for about 2 hours. What I do is I just take any of it that's gone onto the plastic, it's fine. I just scrape that right down into the bowl. Then, of course, I take some oil and put that on my hands. A little bit of oil. Don't need that for a minute. And what I'm going to do, and watch the motion, I'm going to swirl around the edge of the bowl like this and do it backwards and push it into the middle of the bowl without totally punching the dough down. The dough, I can see the dough is just perfect. It's a little bit wet, which is nice. It's going to be a nice moist dough, nice moist bread and pizza. It's going to be really good, but we're going to make it crunchy on the outside. I'm going to teach you how to do that. So that's all we do. We don't get to the bottom of it right now because we're going to work with it when we get it out of the bowl. I'm going to set it aside for a second. I'm going to take the flour, and you have to do this for the bread, not for your, nothing sticks to the bun of the roll pastry mat, but you must do this because the dough is wet, so it needs a little more flouring. It helps you work the dough into perfection. So I'm going to take the bowl and I'm just going to spill it onto the roll top. the pastry mat, excuse me. Okay. Set my bowl aside. Then I'm going to take a little bit more flour. You always, when you work with bread, you always put a little flour on the side. You need to. Okay, looking good. And now we're going to divide it. We're going to divide and conquer here. So I have one large bond mat here that I'm going to put the pizza dough on because I don't want to make the mistake I made before and leave it on the pastry mat, and then it's very hard to get off once it's been sitting rising. So this is, remember, it's 9 cups of flour total and 4.5 cups of water and 2 full packets of active rapid yeast, dry yeast. So once again, I'm going to push in the sides and pull with my fingers to cover it. Push, pull, push, pull. Roll in the bottom of your hands, just like that. And then we're going to put a little bit of flour on that. We have it here on the bond mat. I'm going to top it with a little bit of flour, and we're going to roll that out in just a minute too for a perfect pizza dough. Next, we need to get some dough for the rolls. We want 6 rolls, about that much. So we're going to dip this in the flour also. Just roll it in. I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to do the same motion. So I'm going to put it into a circle, a roll, big roll. And then I'm going to separate it, okay? Like that. And then we're going to separate it into several pieces and we'll put it over here. 1, 2. Great. 4 and 5. Okay. And we need one more. Take this corner right here. One more roll. Dip it in the flour. Okay, put it back over here. The next thing we need, so we've got pizza. Now we need breadsticks. Each one, that's probably 2 or 3. And then we'll take another one from this side. And then I'll show you how we fix that into breadsticks as well. We'll leave that there for right now. But I also want to take this dough right here. I'm going to put a little bit of flour on it on both sides. Mostly on this side though. And then I am going to shape it by just carefully taking the tips of my fingers and tucking in the bottom of this. Then I'm going to take the palms of my hands and I'm going to flatten across because I want to make a big round dough. A big round. This is not a pizza. It's going to rise again for at least 30 minutes. But this is a beautiful looking. I'm going to get the mold and put it in the mold because it's better if we put it in the mold now than if we do it later. Just one moment. Okay, we've got the round mold and I can see, the mold, it's a little bit large for the mold. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take some of this off and we can make extra sticks. Okay. It's very simple. You can even make a lot more rolls with that one. So we're going to push in the sides of that. And we're going to take the round mold. I'm going to put this bread right in it. Don't worry, however it goes, it's fine because it's going to take on the shape of that mold very well. This is a really perfect size, not to have it too thick, because remember, it's going to do a second rise. We're going to put a little bit of flour on top. Then we are going to cover that with pastry cloth, and I'll cover that and the pizza over here while I do the others. So now we are doing the rolls, and we are using the process of pushing in and pulling forward. Push in, pull forward, push in, pull forward, pull towards you. Put a little bit of flour on it, and then roll it. Very, very simple. Same thing with this one. We want a little flour. This one, we started these already. And we're just pushing and pulling, getting that air out of it and just smoothing out the dough. And you're gonna just roll it in your hands like that in the bottom of your palms for 10 seconds. I'm gonna do that again. A little bit of flour. We take the sides, push in, pull forward, push in, pull forward. Even my granddaughter, who's 5 years old, has been able to make rolls on her own since she was 3. And she does, her name is June. She does such an amazing job. I would love to share my grandkids cooking with you with dough, how good they are. But it shows you that, cooking is a skill that anyone can learn. And people that don't cook, they always just convince themselves that they can't because maybe they don't want to. Maybe they hate the cleanup or whatever it is. But with our product, it makes it so much easier. So then we just roll 10 seconds. Good, done. Here's another one. This is a baby roll like for my grandson, Frankie. He's 3. Yeah, looking pretty good. There we go. Here's more. Make a lot of rolls with this. And this is 9 cups of flour and 4.5 cups of water, like I told you. So we're just rolling this up right here. We'll take the next one. Same thing. You got the process now. Push in, pull, push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. Just like pinching it in a way. And then roll. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Done. And what are we going to do with these? We can make small breads with these and put them in the freezer. Okay, I'm going to make a little small bread here, and we're going to bake it on the bond mat with the rolls. Maybe we'll put it away for Thanksgiving or when the kids come and things prepared yet. They'll love that. Okay, there you have another bread. This will be a cute little bread. Put a little bit of flour in there, push it down, and that's good. Next, we're going to do some of the breadsticks. And we're going to use that same kind of process. I have the dough. I'm going to dip it in some flour. And then I'm going to do the push and pull to get the dough to the right texture that it needs to be. And then I'm going to roll it like this. And what I'm looking for is just rolling it fairly even so that it's the same size on both ends. And it's easiest to do it like this. Okay. Okay, it's about right. And then I'm going to fold it and pull it and turn it. Just like that. And I'm going to allow that to rise like that. Oops, a little snap in there. You're going to twist it again once they rise a little bit. I'm going to put some flour on this, same thing. And at this point, it's okay however it is. You're just going to let it do a second rise like that. Don't fuss too much about it. They turn out great. 1 second, because I have some in the oven. Ooh. Yes, they're getting done. Perfectly rustic, gorgeous rolls. So simple to make. And the breadsticks, all of this, just doing it, all together is so fun. And you can't really ruin it. Even if it's your first time, just don't worry about it. Just do it. Just needs a little. And we want a couple more out of this. Good. This one I'm not crazy about. I'm going to re-roll that. Separated. And you can see how forgiving that is. You just, it's fine. At this stage, you're going to let it rise again. So don't worry about it. And we have 2 more here. Put a little flour on this end is really sticky. And I'm punching it. I'm pushing it with my thumbs and pulling it back with my fingers. Very good. Okay, we're going to let that rise again. Let's twist it a little bit. Okay. And this one, it looks fairly large, but not large enough to break it in half. So let's dip it in some flour and then do this. And remember the pizza, the pizza dough, we're going to roll that out. And then once we're done doing that, we're going to show you what we do before we stick the rest of these in the oven. Okay. So we're going to cover this up and set it aside. The dish towel. This has been covering flour all day. Okay. We have the bread here. I'm just going to move that. And for the pizza, we actually also use our rolling pin. I had out here. And you can also use your hands. If you're using your hands, you're pushing with your thumb and pulling with your hand. Push with your thumb, pull with your hand. Push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. If you get a rip, don't worry about it. You can fix it later. I'm going to put a little bit of flour on here because it's wet on one side and not the other. And I just want to make sure that you can all see that. So I've got the dough here. You can use a rolling pin, but you don't really have to. And what I'm doing is just put a little bit of flour on my fingers. I mean, this doesn't look like such a fantastic pizza, but wait till you see how good it tastes. Then you will know why we love this pizza. So, flattening, I like less crust. I don't think you need really fat pizza, but a lot of people do like that. Everyone has their own preference. Then I'm going to just take my fingers and pinch the sides like this, a pincher. This. And I'm going to do it all around the pizza. Kind of fluted. Okay. That looks very good. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take 1 tablespoon of the garlic oil. And I'm going to brush oil just along the sides of the pizza on the crust. So we're making a garlic crust with this. Turns out so good. Okay, and then I'm going to sprinkle it with a little bit of the roasted garlic and chive herb blend. And don't worry, even your kids are gonna love this because it's garlic and chives is just something that goes with everything. It's not overpowering. It just tastes so good. Now we're going to take the garlic paprika from the Daily Dash and we're going to sprinkle it around only on the crust because the center of this is going to get the sauce, the pepperoni, and the cheese. So you'll be pretty good just with those 3 things alone. So here's our sauce, and I use Rayo's pizza sauce. If I don't have pizza sauce, I just use a marinara. It's fine, or if I have something that I've made a pizza sauce, or I make roasted tomatoes and then I blend them into sauces. But today I'm using store-bought, and that's absolutely fine. It turns out very, very good anyway. Then I'm going to take a large spoon and I'm going to spread this around. I don't put the crust, of course. I don't put it on the crust. I put it to the crust. I can say I need more. Here we go. Looks like a fancy pizza. And you made it at home. Just imagine all the things. I like to go in my fridge and say, oh, I have spinach. Let's put spinach on. We can put goat cheese, whatever you have. And you usually have ingredients at home that your family enjoys. So that's what your pizza should have on it. And we also love pepperoncinis. So we're going to put those on in the end. But the next thing we do is we put on the cheese. This is just mozzarella cheese. You could, do it your way. Very simple, not enough cheese. I like it to have enough cheese. That looks good to me. And then my grandson's number one grandson is Duke. Duke is obsessed with pepperoni since he was very small. And number 4 grandchild is Frankie. And Frankie, there's 3 other girls now because we just had a new baby last Saturday. But the boys love and are obsessed with pepperoni. And I usually use 12. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Very good. And then I'm going to take the pepper cheese. And I just have these they're pepper rings, banana pepper rings. A lot of people put them on their pizza after the pizza's cooked. But do you know how good peppers are cooked in your pizza? Oh my goodness. They're really tasty and it's not that much. So it just gives your pizza a little bit of a pop with that little bit. These are mild, so they're not hot, but you know that there's some kind of spice or something there. So Tony and I really love that. And if you're ever frying peppers on the stove, I make a lot of times sausage and peppers. The pepperoncinis in the end are a great thing to dump in with a little bit of the juice. And you just would not believe how good that tastes. It turns out so nice and so good. Okay, the only other thing we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit more of the roasted garlic and chive, and I just sprinkle my hand, shake it. So we release a little bit of that for a little bit of color on top. And there you have it, into an oven of 450 degrees, and our pizza will be ready in no time. All righty. And now we have everything else just about ready to go in. I'm just going to show you what we do with that last process before they go in the oven as well. So, okay, we're going to take our rolls and we're going to put them up here. You just have to be careful when you pick them up. Maybe with two hands, it's much easier to pick them up. This one, over here. This one here. I'll put it over here. Spread these out. Maybe put this one here because it's larger. And we'll put this one over here. And now we're going to take just a little bit of water. And the reason we do water, we don't need an egg wash or anything. We just take water and we just sprinkle each one of these rolls with a little bit of water. And then I carefully take my hand and I just pat it. If you have something uneven, you can fix it at that time. And then we just do a poke. So the air is able to be released from the rolls. This is all set like this. And then I have also the garlic sticks and the small bread that I'm going to do the same thing, but these are all set and ready to go. Just 20 minutes, let them re-rise for 20 minutes, spend about 20 minutes, and they're ready for the oven too. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is take the garlic rolls. And the small bread that we made. Well, we have some brand new bond mats and they're so good. We're going to move the bread over here. It's all ready to be baked. We're going to take the garlic rolls one at a time. And lay them on the bond mat. And then we are going to sprinkle them. Okay. First, we're going to brush them with the last of the garlic oil. One side is fine. You don't like the shape, this is a good opportunity to reshape anything you don't like, but believe me, they're going to taste good no matter what. Brush easily, put a little bit more in here. Okay, I'm not going to do that with the bread. You don't need to. Then we're going to sprinkle a little bit of the roasted garlic and chive on here, on each one of them. This one too. And then we're going to take our salt grinder. Remember, it's number 3, garlic paprika. It's so good. Oops, we left one. Sorry about that. I'm gonna let this one out. Okay, and we go right 1, 2, 3 on there. Then we do 2 on the others. Not very much salt, but it's enough. Then because we already touched those with oil, we don't need water, but we do need the water for this bread right here. And remember, we have the round roll of bread. Sorry, I probably got that in the water from my hands, but it's perfectly fine. It's gonna just season the dough a little. Then in addition to that, we also take our bread. Look how nicely this is risen. Looks beautiful. Beautiful. And we are going to take the bread. And I'm going to grab the water. And I'm going to drip the water on here. My garlic and chime there. We want to make sure we get rid of that flour. And we don't need to reshape anything. It's perfectly fine. If there's water in there, it's definitely going to be eaten up by the dough as it cooks and also the steam. So this is a perfect bread to now do our poke 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I'm gonna just wipe my hands for a minute. Okay, now we are going to pop these in the oven. We'll poke this one. Okay, we're all set. Yum, yum, yum. Everything looks so beautiful. It's all cooking in the oven, and we have the bread that's going to go in. But I did make a first rise, a first bake on the garlic sticks and the rolls. Look how great they look. It's so perfect. These warm up so perfectly in the microwave. And when you make these, refrigerate them after they're cooled or freeze them. And you can always grab them out of the freezer and they thaw in no time, but you can also take advantage of your microwave or your oven and just heat them up while you're making some other dinner. The other thing that we're going to do is with the garlic sticks before serving them. While they're still warm, we're just going to take a little bit of shredded Parmesan. Actually, grated Parmesan it is. From the deli. And that is your final touch on those. But I think that you're probably dying to know how that bread looks inside. So I think I need to show you. Let's see here. We'll take one of the breads. I'll just leave this over here. So you can still see that bread, but let's look at inside. Wow, doesn't that look gorgeous? What a beautiful piece of bread. Look at that. Wow. It really is so crispy on the outside too. You're gonna love it. And the garlic sticks the same. Look how nice these are. They just pull apart. The bread looks so good. I'm sure that my family's gonna be real excited about this. And as the pizza and the bread pop out of the oven, I'll bring those back to show you too. Hope you're enjoying this class. And we are back. Wow, what a marathon it's been, but how lovely is it that we have enough bread, definitely to last a week, but if you're doing a big spread for Thanksgiving or Christmas Eve or any of the holidays, New Year's, just a great get together. No one forgets baked homemade bread or homemade baked bread. So I want to show you what we have here without burning my hands, because I am famous for cutting myself and burning myself because I'm working so fast all the time. First thing that I'm going to show you is our rolls. And look at these rolls, how beautiful they came. They're nice and crispy. You can listen. Wow, everyone is like that. They're real crispy and really nicely done on both sides. The bun mat just bakes everything, browns on the bottom, browns on the top, and it's just great. I do shift from bottom to top shelf. And I think that that's a really important thing to learn to do, because if you want your food to taste great, the temperature is different at the bottom of the oven than it is at the top, and it's different also in the middle. So you need to, especially for bread, things you want to have be really crispy, you definitely want to shift that around. And if you're baking cupcakes or cookies, you just want to flip your tray at least once, halfway in between. So these rolls look so good. I hope you're ready for some. All right, the next thing that we have is this beautiful little display of, look at these garlic sticks. You see how they puffed up so much in the oven because we allowed them to do a little bit of a second rise, but not more than 20 minutes. And I think that that's a really important thing to remember. If you have dough that rises for too long, it separates from the middle of the crust. And I'm going to show you a bread that actually did that. Not one we just made, but one that I made earlier today. This is the little cutie patootie, the little homemade bread that we had a lot of that dough. I said we can make that. Breadstick. Wow. And this bread, you can see, I'll tell you how you know if your bread is done on the inside. Your bread, when you knock on the bottom of it, it should sound pretty hollow. And that's how you know that it's done. You can brush this flour off, but I leave it because it looks very authentic, because it is, it's homemade. So the next thing that we're going to take a look at is the homemade pizza. This is still really hot. Look at this crust from the bottom. Looks so good. And look how lovely this is. Just an absolutely gorgeous pizza, and just ready for anybody. And you can, when you have kids, it's so great for you to set up things they could put toppings on their pizza. Allow them to make it, because if they find the love of eating homemade pizza, if they make it themselves, they're going to eat all of it, and they're always going to want to make it again. And then you're teaching life skills. I mean, they're going to go away to the university and they're going to be making their own pizza instead of ordering out all the time. Okay, the next thing is the bread. Look at the bread. So this bread, remember, I made it a little bit thin inside, and I put it inside the mold, and I allowed it to do its thing. Looks so gorgeous. Top and bottom, and it's pretty hot, but you see it sounds a bit hollow inside, so it should be, you should hear that noise. That's how I always know that the bread is actually finished. I start the bread either on the top shelf or the bottom shelf. I prefer the bottom shelf, and the reason I prefer the bottom shelf is because I want it to get that basis of getting the bottom cooked, so everything else is, you know, just shifting around the oven. And I put it onto the top shelf. It may or may not go onto the middle shelf unless you have a bread that was over risen, that sat out in the second rise for way too long. And I have one of those so I can show you what it looks like. It still tastes really good, but this will taste better. Okay, this is a bread that I made earlier, and then I allowed it to, it stayed out on the counter for like 2 hours. So you can see the difference in this bread. Number one, when I put the dough in the mold, it was all the way to the top of the mold. So this, I mean, it's a beautiful bread. You can't complain about the bread, right? It looks really good. And you see the bottom of that too. It's just sounds really great and very hollow. And you can see the way it's separated right here. Remember earlier when I was talking about if you leave things out for too long, they will start separating away from the middle or the base of the bread. And that's if you leave the second rise too long. The first rise, it's okay. But the second rise is really important. They say that the best second rise, I believe they say 30 minutes. And I found for my bread and this recipe, it is 30 minutes. But we have both of these. And I like a thinner bread instead of all that dough, but a lot of people like this thick dough, nice butter on it or cheese or whatever they eat with it. So I hope that wherever you are, I hope that you try these recipes, and remember that the video is going to be available on our Facebook feed at the Bon Cook on Facebook. Sorry, I got to put this down because the bread's burning my hands. Okay. And you can go back and rewatch it and think, okay, how did we actually do that dough? So I just want to say thank you for coming along. Next week I'll be live, not next week live with you. Rhonda and Leslie, I believe, will be live with you next week, and we're going to show you how to make incredible tarts with anything you have in your fridge, with just a simple puff pastry. So get ready for that. It's something that it's my go-to, like on a Friday night that I've been busy all week long, and I want a fast dinner on a Friday because I love to cook a lot on the weekend. And I think that you should come along for that. We'll see how that works out, what they're going to come up with for those beautiful tarts. But thank you everyone for coming along. Remember that we're going to put a bread kit on sale that will be on sale, and I'm sure that's in your feed right now. And in addition to that, we're going to have the roll pack, buy one, get one free. And just look for more. And anything else that you want to learn, you can learn more from our previous classes. You can find them on our Facebook feed. And also you can ask your consultant to maybe send you a link to one of the classes that you may have missed. So thanks so much, everyone. I hope you enjoy some beautiful bread, some together time with family. And I'm going to go and meet my new grandbaby. Her name is Isla. She was born last Saturday. So I'm real excited. While you're watching this, I'm literally on my way to Paris right now because I'm leaving on Tuesday. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great night. Thanks for coming along. Bye-bye.